everyone. It's been a while. I know you are waiting for this session, and I've had so many comments how exciting this conversation will be, because Dr. Stanley, my guest for tonight, is extremely well known and charming personality and a star. So I'm looking forward to welcome him. Just wait a few seconds till he goes online. Meanwhile, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me. Hello. Today will be all about smiles and expressions and part of medicine that sometimes is a little bit neglected. So let's just wait for a few seconds. Here you go. I can see Dr. Stanley is joining. I'll just ask him to... Yeah.
How are you?
Hello, everyone.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very good to see you.
hello. How are you? Great to see you too. Also, I do miss our chats and
Thank you so
meetings
much.
in Lisbon, but it's
And I
wonderful to see you on
apologize
this
for
platform,
it
Miguel.
taking so long to get here today. It's been a crazy year, a very busy year, and I really am grateful that you made some, that for this invitation, and that you...
Well, I was very patient, and I'm always very patient with you, because you know you are the person whom I'm fortunate to know, who are my friend, and who is so busy yet always find the time and always are so caring. So, and we'll talk about this a little bit, how busy you are. We'll definitely talk about that. But Miguel, meanwhile, I will just say a few words about the conversations with Olga for some people who never joined us before, and I'll introduce you for some who might need an introduction, and there's many people who definitely don't need an introduction of you to them, because you're such a well-known personality, and we'll dive in. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the Conversations with Olga. It is an IGTV YouTube series I've started during the circuit breaker, so it has been my COVID project, I should say, and this conversation series is staged with a goal to introduce friends and personalities I've met through my career and introduce to the multicultural Singaporean global community through the platform that is interesting and accessible. These conversations run the gamut of from intellectual to cultural exchanges to more personal conversations about how people fulfill their dreams and sharing their passions. My main mission and hope for this series is to inspire and cultivate a more diverse and inclusive communities that can learn from one another. And it is my honor for today's episode number 37 to have my guest, Dr. Miguel Stanley, a visionary in advanced dentistry, regenerative medicine, and optimal wellness. The founder and clinical director of the globally renowned White Clinic, and one of the top 100 dentists in the world. We'll be talking about, of course, advanced technology and ethics in dentistry, and your world famous, Miguel, no half smiles walk philosophy, regenerative medicine, health and wellness, and so many other things. And we'll try to fit it all in within 1 hour. I know you're very, very busy, and I know that it's craziness and during this time of the year. So I'm thanking you, of course, and I'm thanking everyone who's joining us today. To all who are joining us live today, welcome to Deep Dive into the world of dentistry, a sector of healthcare that is often taken for granted in its importance.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
So
thank you so much. It was a
welcome.
great introduction.
Miguel.
And thank you everybody for joining today. And I really look forward to this conversation with you, my friend. So where do you want to start?
Well, I want to start from early beginnings. You know, you mentioned to me that you grew up with the siblings who knew exactly what they wanted to do and what they wanted to pursue in life, and yet you didn't know. So I believe at one point you actually wanted to become a heart surgeon. So can you please share with us a little bit how you managed to find your calling in dentistry?
It's as I get older, I'm 50 next February, and life is just getting so, how can I say, it's accelerating, and the world is just such a dynamic place today. You know, it's almost like I can't remember why or how. And I'm not being, it's like I'm a futurist. So I live for the future and for improving my day to day and the future. So when I think about the past, it's always a challenge for me because there's the facts and then there's the dream that I have that I was in the past, you know. So I guess to answer your question, we have to understand in 1983, I was 10 years old. So in 1988, 1989, I had to make the decision of what I wanted to study at university. Where was the world in 1987, 1988? There was no technology. There was none of this, you know. So you'd either become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you know, because you had to make a living, you know, you had to have one of these professions. I went to an all-boys Catholic school here in Portugal called Salesianos in Estoril. Before that, I went to St. Julian. So I had a very conservative Catholic upbringing. I grew up in South Africa as a kid, and I moved to Portugal when I was 10. So when I'm 16, having to make a decision of what I wanted to be for the rest of my life was very, very challenging. So, you know, there was no way like there is today. And, you know, I like that. Nobody knew, you know, and I really had no idea of what a dentist was properly. And so I wanted to be a doctor, and I thought that the most noble area of medicine would be a heart surgeon, because Christian Barnard was a South African doctor who had invented the heart transplant. And so that was one of the major famous things from South Africa was, you know, we had the best heart surgeon in the world. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And then, you know, just like everything in life, I think it was Mike Tyson that said, you know, everybody has a great plan until they get punched in the face. And life has an extraordinary way of punching you in the face when you have you know, your dream. So I couldn't afford to go to the schools that I wanted to go to. My parents couldn't. There was very limited access back then. And also in Portugal, I needed mathematics. So it was biology, chemistry, and mathematics. And I was good at biology. I was good at chemistry, but I sucked at mathematics. And so for like 1%, I couldn't get into medicine. And I think that was a tragedy, because medicine is not just about knowledge, it's about heart. And God knows I had a lot of heart, and I really wanted to become a doctor. And I think the French have a different system. Like, I think everybody gets in and then you have to prove that you can stay. But anyway, back then I didn't make the grade to go into the public system, and I could only go to the private sector. And so dentistry, there was a private dental school that the first year was the same as the first year of medicine. And I thought, well, I'll go to that school for a year and then I'll cross over. And this is really ironic, but so I went to this dental school in Lisbon, and, you know, with the ambition that after the first year, I would try and go back to the public sector. And in that year, I got a job as a delivery boy for a dental lab, because I had a motorbike, and I would go and drop the dental work, so the crowns and the bridges it was just a coincidence, of a dental lab to dental clinics. So I started seeing inside dental clinics, and I was like, hey man, this is interesting, this is fun. And so I stuck with it, and I graduated, and I became a dentist, and the rest is history.
Incredible. So you found your calling.
I,
Actually, the
I,
more philosophical.
I don't know. You know,
Sorry.
I look. I'm the kind of guy. You drop me anywhere on earth, I'll survive. You know, I have survival skills, and I don't just. I wouldn't say survival. I think it's thriving skills. So, um, my wife a few years ago did this thing called human design. So human design is where they look at your astral chart, your astrology, your, you know, a bunch of other things. And I've done it. I've done a few. I'm not. I don't follow this a lot, and I don't understand a lot about it. I'm a Pisces, but according to all of the people, many different really good astrologists, I have this emperor trait, which is basically anything that I do,
No, it
I excel at
explains
because
everything.
I'm
Now
a
I know.
I don't know, I'm a middle child as well, so I'm, you know, I got all the secondhand toys, and my younger brother got all of the attention. But I'm joking. But what I'm trying to say is that if it hadn't been dentistry, you know, if I put my focus on something else, so I don't think it's so much of a calling as it found me. And yeah, well,
Yes.
it's
But I guess it's
also
also
it's
a
timing.
passion, isn't
It's
it? I mean,
timing, Olga, because dentistry in the 90s
passion.
when I graduated was 100% analog. There was no digital technologies involved. And where it is today, and you've seen my clinic, I mean, it's like it's a completely different universe. And I've been very lucky to be a part of that transition. And so I decided I didn't just want to be a part of it, I wanted to lead it.
Yes.
And I wanted to be at the front of it. And I didn't look at the fact that I was Portuguese or, you know, in a remote, you know, small country in the world as a limitation. So I decided to be at the forefront of this change. And it's a rush. It's a lot of fun. I'm teaching people, I'm inspiring people, and
That's something that I want to talk about, because sorry to interrupt you, but you have quite a number of initiatives that you run simultaneously, and I've seen you in action, Miguel. And I just, for our viewers, for our listeners, I will just name a few of them. I've listed, actually, I've written them down so I don't forget. And I would like you to share a little bit about them and how you discovered them all and how you actually manage your time. So let me read some of your initiatives, accomplishments, and how busy you are. You are the founder and clinical director of the White Clinic, a leading dental center in the world for over 22 years. You are the co-founder of Slow Dentistry Global, a Swiss nonprofit organization focused on improving patients' experience and safety during the visit to the dentist, with members in all, I believe, 60 countries. You're vice president of Digital Dentistry Society. You're adjunct professor at UPenn. You're first dentist ever to give a TED Talk, and I love that talk, by the way. And you're the only dentist to host a documentary on dentistry on National Geographic. And you have your podcast. So, you know, what else can I say? You're, I'm sorry, I think you got frozen, Miguel. Um, we will wait just for a few seconds. I apologize. I think connection in Lisbon, perhaps because it's due to the rain. I'm not sure. Miguel, we unfortunately can't hear you. We can see your face, but it's frozen. Well, let's wait just for a few seconds, but just to emphasize once again that Miguel's time is extremely busy for basically, okay, send request. Hold on, let me just. I apologize. Miguel, I think you might need to send me another request because I can't connect to you now. Um, Let me send you a request. I'm so sorry. I'm trying, but something is. Just give me. I'm really sorry. Something is going wrong with the technology. And then I'll try. Here you go. I think we should be able to join right now. I think there is a bit of a technology issue. I'm not sure why it's not we're not able to join. I think the connection is not there. I'll try to accept again. Everyone, in case if I'll need to disconnect, my apology, and I might need to connect again just for a second later, but I'm still trying and taking the precious time out of our exciting conversation. Hang on, I think maybe, okay, he left. Trying to accept his,
You know,
hello.
What is life without a little glitch every now and again?
Welcome,
so listen, I heard all of your questions regarding you know, all of the things that I do. So yeah, I've been busy, and I like to stay busy. And you know, when you read out the long list of all of the things, you know, these things happen very gradually. So I founded the White Clinic in 1999, and that's been my big passion, having this clinic and developing it now. This will be the 23rd year, and there's about 45 people on my team. And you know, it's some doctors have been with me for 20 years, Olga. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. And there's only one clinic. There's not a network. So all of the focus is here on the team. What people might not know, your viewers not know, is that I did some TV shows back in 2005 to 2012 in Portugal. And I did some in Hollywood as well, and all of course that creates a lot of noise, a lot of energy around the brand and the name, and most of that was done even before social media, you know. So I lecture a lot, so I travel around the world. I've lectured in over 50 countries. And I started learning because I started listening to people that there was a lot of things that were missing in my industry. And one of them was there was no real way to understand what made a good dentist versus a bad dentist. And how could we calibrate that language? And I thought that, well, one of the most important things is a doctor having at least, I'm not saying outside it, but inside the treatment room, to not cut certain corners, to do things properly. And that was the Slow Dentistry Global Network, which is now in over 50 countries, which is a nonprofit, as you said, based in Switzerland. We're very proud of that work. And we have a lot of volunteers around the world helping us with that. And I'm very passionate about that. And yeah, so busy. Plus my busy practice here, and I operate every day. I work every day as a dentist, and I like that.
Exactly. Yes, well, you are recognized as a leader, and you definitely are the first, and you actually are multiple firsts in all these initiatives and all these incredible achievements, and you definitely carved your own path and becoming exceedingly good at everything what you do. And I'm sure many of us, including myself and listeners who joined us today, probably, I'm sure, would want to be to exercise their own best and whatever the way they see it. So I kudos this to everyone, and Miguel, definitely you're exceeding everybody's expectation of being the best. And what is your advice on just managing the time, because you're so busy in general, to all of us, myself as well, because you never seem to lose the pulse on anything that you do, and yet you're definitely,
it's a great question,
all your passion, all your heart, and everything.
I think it's a very important question, because a lot of people struggle with exactly that. And it's also important to understand, you know, I'm married, I have 2 young kids, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I think that you always have to sacrifice something. right? So depending at what phase you are in your life, you can't have everything. You know, there's a great sentence which is, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. It's a very important sentence. So there's nothing we cannot do,
very
but we can't do everything. And more overly, we can't do everything at the same time. So, you know, you can make coffee in the morning and you can work out, but you can't do both at the same time. You can't. It's just humanly impossible. So delegating, I delegate. I have an amazing team of people around me. I've been building this for 23 years. So I have a very structured team around me that I can delegate a lot of my tasks to. But it's very important to have a vision and to not give up on that vision, and, you know, to push through. And I think that the most important thing, Olga, is consistency. So a lot of people have an idea and have an ambition, have the resources, have the desire, but when the going gets tough, they don't keep on pushing because they think they don't believe in themselves. You understand? And outperforming. I wrote a sentence on my Instagram the other day. I have it on my profile at quotes. It's there somewhere in quotes, and basically it was, you have to outperform everybody in consistency despite adversity. So it's very loaded, meaning when the going gets tough, that's when you need to be consistent the most. So it's having a consistent performance in achieving whatever goal you put yourself, you know. So for example, what do I sacrifice? At this phase in my life, I sacrifice a social life. I don't go to all the parties. I don't go to all the lunches. I don't go to all the dinners, you know. So
I know, my dear.
I don't, because I want to invest in my daughters. So what do I win? I brush my daughter's teeth. I read them a story. I put them to bed every night, you know, and I'm a present father. And that for me is more important than, you know, going out socializing. At this phase, I don't need to network, you know. It's not something that is important to me now. There's a time and place for everything. So, and you know, I don't go out to dinners late. I don't drink alcohol. So, you know, I don't go to parties. I do go to some parties, of course, with my dear friends, but I want to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, focusing on my vision, focusing on on what I'm building, because that's where I create value. Do you understand? So if that's selfish, so what? You know, it's
No, it's not selfish. It's a set of priorities.
I have some friends that are very good athletes, and you know, I'll give an example even of Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, he's a friend of mine. He's the guy is 38. He's one of the most consummate athletes on earth. You know, forget all the noise. Look at how focused he is. He's the first at, you know, the guy just consistent training, focus. You know, because we get paid, he gets paid to win games, or, you know, to play football at the highest level. And if you don't condition your mind and your body to deal with that, then you can't do what you get paid for. So I get hired by my patients to treat their mouths, and I need to be the best. I need to be the most focused. I need to be present. I need to be at 100%. I have to make sure my team knows what they're doing. All the technology is working. All of my supply chain is controlled. That is what is expected of me at the highest level. And much like yourself, I have very demanding patients. I cannot fail. I need to be focused. Do you understand? So I take this incredibly serious.
The same as me. Media, like, so can relate to it. I'm the same in my profession, in what I do. I'm a hands-on completely, and the
100%.
is correlated to the journey to get to this outcome, and it's extremely important how how you manage it
I mean,
and
look,
how
look
you
at yourself. Look at who your client.
perceive
Look at who
this
your
particular
clients are. You know, you're organizing an event for, I don't know, some super luxury brand. I mean, just the fact that they come to you and not the competition is a result of a lot of hard work and consistency and proven track record. So the pressure on you at that level to not fail
Absolutely.
is exponentially higher than somebody just starting out. Do you understand? Because
Yes.
it's a lot of work to get to
Yes.
the top. It's exponentially harder to stay there.
Yes.
I've been doing this for 22, 23 years at the highest level. And that's why,
Yes.
you know, yes, sacrifice has to be made. And yeah, I'm not the most
Yes.
sociable guy and I don't have time to chit chat. And I'm focused like a laser beam.
It doesn't matter. Yes. Congratulations, by the way, on your recent nomination of top 100 dentists in the world. And in CISL Age magazine,
that was
32 most influential people in dentistry.
That was a surprise.
You're
So the
thought leader in
Edge
field.
magazine in the US, I got nominated as one of the top 32 most influential people, not dentists, people in dentistry. So this is a very prestigious nomination,
Yes.
I guess, award, distinction. And there's only 3 Europeans on that list because it's an American organization. So, of course, you know, America being the most powerful nation on earth when it comes to these things, to be nominated is huge. To get this distinction is huge. And I'm the only fully private practitioner on the list. Do you understand? And so to be recognized is huge. And just a little thing, it got no traction in the Portuguese dental community at all, you know? So just, it's, that's part of the mission, you know? It's, when you live in small countries, I'm sure also in Singapore where you are, that the other event organizers get very jealous of your success. Yeah, enough said. So that's why, and that's the motivation to keep on being number one.
Let's put it this way.
Is to just keep on working. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think it's a character trait as well, to be honest with you. I think it's important for people like you and me, but for some it's not. But yes, I'm extremely proud of you, so all of us. Thank you for sharing this. I would like to ask you as an expert and advice for dental health. You've mentioned that dental health is the key to building immunity. Yet so many people take it for granted and only worry about dental hygiene when there are the problems, such as toothaches, you know, to start to cause us suffering. And actually most of the people I know, especially children, dread going to the dentist. And not that many people to give you actually dentistry due credit. So what should we be doing to take care, to take a better care of ourselves?
It's such a big question.
Happy visits to the dentist.
Let's start.
Yes,
let's
but
start
I'm sorry.
By
the way, just
let's
to
start
tell
from
you,
the
I have
beginning.
plenty of other questions to ask.
Just because you have no pain doesn't mean there is no problem. Many times, pain is not a symptom of problems in your mouth. Most of systemic diseases, cancer included, will have an origin in the mouth, and having a healthy oral biome, a healthy just mouth is critical to systemic health. Many dentists overlook this and they stick with the mechanics and the aesthetics, forgetting and overlooking that your teeth are directly connected to your brain, and because they are inserted in bone marrow, directly affecting your immune system. So anywhere throughout your life, if you have inflammation in your mouth, naturally occurring or caused by outdated dental treatments or poorly executed dental treatments, which is huge, you can have direct impact in your brain, anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, and many other things, all the way up to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, if you have the genetic predisposition. And also, on the other hand, if you have low-grade chronic inflammation, it can cause systemic issues and add to autoimmune diseases and many other things. So every adult in the world, if they have the capacity, should at least once in their adult life get a CT scan of their mouth, not just a two-dimensional film X-ray, to look for inflammation in their mouths, and consider upgrading their dentistry to a more biological manner with somebody who knows what they're doing, to actually mitigate any inflammation in your mouth. And the health benefits are immediate. The other one is the way that your teeth impact the way you breathe. So if you have bad fit of your teeth or positioning, maxillofacial positioning, it can also affect the way you breathe, and that also can impact your systemic health. And this is called airway dentistry. And sadly, this really affects a lot of children. So a lot of children with very narrow faces or overjets, they're not breathing properly at night. And thankfully, there's a lot of pediatric dentists that are looking more at this. And there are easy ways and affordable ways for parents to use these special devices that can help their children breathe better and actually have an impact on their brains as well. Because if the children are not breathing well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to wake up grumpy. And unfortunately, a lot of parents think that this is it's treated with Ritalin or all. And I'm not saying I'm just saying check your children's airway and their mouth as well. It's very, very important, Olga, very important.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. That brings me to a question about slow dentistry. What is it and how does it affect both patient and
believe that every patient on earth, no matter how affordable or expensive or famous their dentist is, it can be a cheap dentist or it can be an expensive dentist, that every patient has the right to a disinfected treatment room. All right, can we all agree on that? That the patient has a right to sit down in a chair that is being properly disinfected. So if the patient imagine anybody watching this goes to the dentist, how can they know if their dentist has properly disinfected? It's very difficult. So if a clinic or a dentist is seeing 50 patients a day, how do they have time to disinfect the room? If they are seeing 20 patients a day, how are they doing it? How are you doing it? It's almost impossible. They have to be cutting corners somewhere. Even the best dentist, the most experienced dentist, cannot disinfect the room faster than a non-experienced dentist, because there's a method to it, and it takes time to kill the bacteria and the fungus. And now after COVID, we actually learned that we have to disinfect things properly, right? So I'm not even going to criticize if you're a good dentist or a bad dentist. If disinfect the room properly. And the second one is patient consent. So many doctors, because they're in a rush, they'll do things on somebody's mouth and they won't explain what they did. They won't explain, and a dentist and a doctor, more than anything, is a teacher. You have to teach your patient about what you are doing and what are the risks and the rewards. And this takes time. And it's not the front desk. It's not the secretary that has to tell this. It's you, the doctor. You have a responsibility to talk to your patients. And how can you talk to your patients if you don't have time? And the other one, of course, is obviously pain-free. Don't cause pain. And that sometimes takes time to manage. And the last one is something called a dental dam or a rubber dam. If you're doing a root canal procedure, which is this isolation that should go around the tooth so that the patient doesn't swallow any, bad objects or liquids, and also to protect the treatment properly. Every dentist on earth learns this at school. It doesn't require any postgraduate training, any expensive training. You don't have to buy any expensive technology to do it. Everybody knows this is true. And why are they not doing it, Olga? To save time. And why do they want to save time? So they can see more patients. And so the Slow Dentistry Global Network is a nonprofit foundation that inspires dentists and clinicians to slow down. Unfortunately, you can see fewer patients a day.
That's
but
amazing.
The doctor's responsibility isn't to heal everybody. It's to heal each patient properly with dignity and respect.
Yes.
One at a time. One at a time.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm so happy that you advocate this, and kudos to you. And
Yes.
you're also a front runner in advocating for advanced technology and practices. But as patients, sometimes we don't know. We often get a chance actually to learn about the technologies that goes into taking care of our moms. You know, I'm amazed at your technology in White Clinic, and you know, you've explained to me, and you've given to me numerous tours around your clinic. And every time I come to Lisbon, and I visit you every time I come to Lisbon, there is something new. There is something even more extraordinary. Could you share a little bit about technology that really amazes you?
There's no
the
one
most?
technology that makes the difference. It's the aggregate of multiple technologies in sequence that speak with each other, that can enhance the patient experience and help the dentist or dental team learn more. So I guess what is possible today, Olga, is the virtual patient. Let me explain that. It used to, and still today, many ways around the world, the only technology that is truly dramatically important is the X-ray. That's 100 years old. And many dentists today will have a film X-ray, you know, the traditional X-ray of the teeth that they take. So if you have a complicated issue, health issue, having just that X-ray as the only method of diagnosis is kind of like you ordering an Uber and a donkey and cart appearing to take you to the airport. It is transportation. It is safe. It technically can get, you know, it can get you to the airport, but it's not really what, you know, you expect in 2022. In 2022, you'd expect a safe car with ABS and seatbelts, right? So there's technologies out there that are more congruent with 2022 era, but many dentists will have a Ferrari or a Porsche, but they'll still only have X-ray in their clinics. Why? Greed, money only, all right? Selfishness. So if your dentist is the best dentist in the world, but he's still only using X-ray, but drives a nice car, start asking him some questions. He needs to revalue his priorities. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we now, with CT scans and intraoral scans and facial scans, I can actually see my patients without having them in the room. How amazing is that? I can now do remote diagnostics, treatment plannings. I can communicate with my dental lab anywhere in the world. So what it does is it allows us to control quality and allows us to share information with the patient's consent, obviously. And it's just an amazing, amazing time because at the end of the day, technology is going to allow less mistakes to be made, and that works for the patient. It's not a question of making more money. It's a question of making less mistakes, and everybody benefits from this. And that's something I'm very passionate about.
Yes. Absolutely. And actually that brings me to the goes with what you just said. What are the most important ethical considerations that you advocate for your practice, teachings, and in general in life?
I think
because you're extremely ethical person.
To also talk about what you said before, you know, when I talk about slow dentistry, I have patients that go, "Oh, but I have to help everybody in my community. I've got so many people that need my help." Doctors are not hired to help. They are hired to heal. Let that sink in. It is not our moral responsibility to heal the whole community. That's the government's responsibility. Each individual doctor has to heal the person that's in front of them. Now, we learn at school a set of tools to diagnose, treatment plan, execute, and heal our patients. And ideally, you know, we'd have one patient a day, but, you know, you can't make a living from one patient a day. I understand that, right? I do. But there has to be congruence. Congruence means agreement between what you learned in the books and what the science says and what 2022 literature and scientific evidence says is true and proper, and what you are doing as a doctor to your patients. And if you are not doing 2022 medicine and dentistry, then what are you doing? Why are we going? I go to congresses. So I go on stage and I say, this is what we can do today. And people sit down and go, oh, bravo, yes, that's amazing. And then they go back to their clinic and practice 1980s dentistry. That is something that is confusing to me. And I think that's not ethical. It's not ethical. I think, you know, and then the doctor will drive home in a nice Mercedes, but his clinic's in the 1980s. And the last time he upgraded his knowledge, you know, was in the 90s because he's very famous. And that's wrong. So I think that technology will level that, because I think humanity deserves better. I think people deserve better. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying people have a right to know. They have a right to know. Do you understand? So I think there has to be a lot more ethics and integrity. It's like, look, when I walk, let's say I need a motel or a hotel, right? And I'm traveling, I don't know, to London, all right? And I'm on a budget because I can't afford everything. I can go on an app and find a motel, a 2-star motel that costs me, let's say, £50 a night, all right? Or I can go to the Four Seasons, which is an amazing hotel, and spend $5,000 a night, okay? Both have a bed, both have a bathroom, both have a shower, both have a pillow, both have a blanket, both have a door you can lock, both have a reception. What's the difference? Now, we know what the difference is, right? But I at least know when I go to a 2-star hotel what I'm getting. I don't expect magic, right? What would that look like in dentistry, Olga? What would it look like in dentistry? And I'm not talking about great service and, you know, amazing decoration. I'm talking about in dentistry, it's technology, materials, workflow, precision, taking time to do things properly. And I just think that we owe it to humanity to be better. And I think that's what I want dentists to understand.
Yes, absolutely. Like everything else, to be honest with you. I agree with you. And that's, I think, the part of it that I would like to move a little bit into the happiness through dentistry and healthcare in general. You say that you provide transformative happiness through dental care. When I actually listened to your TED Talk, and I love that talk, by the way, I could not agree more that you give actually the most powerful tool, as you say. And it is true, it's a communication tool through smile. You know, and I talk a lot and about in my captions, in my books, that the communication is extremely important. And I was so happy to hear that, because I look at people's smiles, I look at people's expressions, and I would like you to share with us a little bit.
You obviously have a very beautiful smile,
on the relationship between dental care and happiness.
That your smile is central to your character and personality. You know, there's nothing distracting in your smile. You have beautiful teeth, you have nice harmony, you have, you know, a balanced smile, right? And obviously a person that has a balanced, homogeneous, I'm not talking super white, I'm just saying a natural smile has more confidence. And it's directly correlated to our character and our sense of self-worth and our self-image. So, you know, you can have everything in life, everything. But if you don't have a sense of self-worth and a sense of self-identity, you would be navigating, you know, without direction in the world, you know. So I did a study in 2009, 2012, between those years, where I was working with plastic surgeons and nutritionists and dermatologists and psychiatrists, personal trainers, image consultants. I actually did this study because I did some TV shows and I had all those people on my team. And we actually measured self-worth, happiness, social integration, all of these things, professional success. And we understood that people that had a beautiful smile had with 28% more than any other cosmetic intervention, that a smile brought more happiness, more self-worth, more professional success. Because at the end of the day, we can cover up everything else, but we can't really cover our teeth. And so, people overlook and underestimate the power of having a great smile as actually a weapon of success. So really, really valuable tool, and something that we definitely can improve on, and something really cool that your audience might like to know, that with modern technologies, we can actually use 3D printing to do a test drive. So people can actually do a test drive of what their smile could look like, letting them feel it before they actually do it. It's really cool.
That's super cool. I love it. And, people talk about these days, especially more than ever, I think, about the regenerative medicine that has the potential to heal or replace cells, tissues, and organs affected by age, disease, and trauma. And what is actually regenerative medicine?
Well, it's a great question.
And why is it the key to living longer?
And why am I a dentist talking about this? All right. So I believe that there's an overlooked, understudied, and forgotten connection between the mouth and the rest of the body and the brain. Many times people look at the brain as a separate entity unto the body, but brain health is very important to systemic health. Mouth health is important, and everything's connected. So we started understanding about 4 or 5 years ago the absolute correlation between removing systemic oral disease and how that impacted our patients' systemic health. So we started getting patients with autoimmune disease, and like mostly autoimmune, which is huge, it's a huge array, from chronic fatigue all the way up to, breast cancer, let's put it that way, and rheumatoid arthritis. And all of these illnesses have an inflammatory origin. So inflammation is a language, let's call it a language. So an inflammatory protein produced in the mouth can affect your brain, your breast, your groin, your liver, your gut. And so by understanding inflammation, we started talking with immunologists and understanding that it's all connected. So how can we work together with other clinicians, with other across the frontier, let's put it that way, and help our patients reach optimum health? All right. So health optimization. And of course, it's a collaboration between different doctors, different specialities, and moreover, with the patient at the center. And there's this new thing out there called biohacking. I don't know if you've heard what it is, but so it's like you can hack a computer to enhance the computer's capacities or ruin the computer's capacities. But biohacking was a term invented by David Asprey, an American guy who, really cool guy. And basically, it's what can we do to use our own physiology to enhance our human potential? Sleeping better, sleeping good. So like, for example, this is a technology that I'm not promoting that helps monitor my sleep patterns. People's smartwatches can do it. Understanding our genetic code, doing genetic testing, understanding what predispositions we have, and learning what foods we can eat for our own DNA. And then doing specific blood tests to understand what vitamins are missing in our body, what supplements are missing, and matching that with diet, exercise, and if what we're missing in our diet, let's supplement that as well, and IVs. And then what else is out there? From stem cell therapy to ozone therapy to hyperbaric oxygen chambers to infrared saunas. There's so many cool things out there that we can use in combination to enhance and unlock and unleash our human potential. But it all starts with having a healthy mouth and a healthy diet and healthy living. So no alcohol, no tobacco, Otherwise, it's just, you know, you can't play the game. So we're very, very passionate here at the White Clinic about understanding the future of human potential through science, technology, and healthy habits.
And you have, thank you for your passion, and it's really amazing what you're saying, and it just completely on a completely different level. You've also developed the unique protocol of the T7 treatment philosophy. I know we have unfortunately not that much time, a little bit, but I would like you to just say it in a few words.
All right.
What does it lend back to the whole
a person goes to a pharmacy and says, "Oh, I want some vitamin C." Why? Oh, because I feel I need it. That's not scientific. So how can we be more scientific in anything in medicine? And that's the T7.
Yeah.
Test, target, think, talk, treat, transform, and thrive. So in any area, let's test first. Let's test. Test what? Test everything. Okay? And then let's target the problems. Let's target the problems. And then let's think about what is more important. What's the priority? Because if you go to a psychiatrist, he's going to say that's psychiatrist. If you go to a cardiologist, it's the cardiologist. If you go to the dentist, so let's think, what's the most important that comes first? And then let's talk about it. Let's all talk with the patient at the center, and then figure out what to treat. And then let's thrive together and transform, and then thrive. And then and then you have to do this regularly, much like your car. You have to test your car regularly. You have, check your oil, check your gas levels. So the human body can be understood that way. And if you don't test, there's no way you can even begin treating.
It sounds incredibly positive, and thank you for sharing that. And I know you as a friend. You're extremely passionate and spiritual person as well. And I will read your quote actually, that you said the following: "Peace and happiness both require constant work and are different. One requires constant work on yourself. The other one is the ones you love."
Well,
would you share a little bit more?
I think everybody at the
what
end of the day is looking for peace and happiness. So you can't be happy if you're not peaceful, and you can't be peaceful if you're not happy. And happiness is a pursuit. It's a hard work. And just yesterday I had a bad day. I was stressed out. I was, we have floods here in Portugal, so I was, and we live in a society where it's very difficult to show your weaknesses and people, especially if you're the let's say the leader of the tribe, it's very difficult to show your weaknesses. And which I'm seeing changes in humanity, that we're becoming more open about our weaknesses and all of that, which is great. Mental health is very important to me. But I think it's also important to understand that your friendships and the people around you, much like, if you want to stay healthy, you got to get rid of bad habits. And if you want to be happy, you got to get rid of bad friends. And there's a lot of people out there that are not good people to have in your lives. And just because you grew up with them doesn't mean you need to carry them into your future. I saw a sentence the other day that it's not mine. Some friends need to be escorted out of the VIP section back into the crowd because of misbehavior. So again, this is not for everybody, but if you really want to be peaceful, it's not just finding bad habits that you have, like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I try and do sport, I try and eat healthy, but I also want to have healthy relationships. And, if you are a person of worth and like yourself, Olga, I can only imagine how many people call you up, "Olga, help me with this, help me with that, help me with this, help me with that." And you're such a nice person that I presume you go out of your way and help these people. But then when the time comes, are they there for you? Do you understand? And it's like, so it's not about being selfish, because you have to create space for new people to come in, like you're now in my life, you're now in my VIP section, because, you're there for me, and you're amazing, and you're very generous with all of your connections. You're an amazing human being, and I'm really grateful to have you in my life, and I wish I had more time with you. But in order to have time for you, do you understand? It's somebody else can't. And I guess self-improvement and happiness is a constant thing. And we're going to make mistakes. You're going to bump your head and you have to forgive. And if somebody says sorry, yeah, come back to the VIP section, you know. But when you're a giver like yourself, you know, I'm a giver. I'm a doer. I'm very generous, much like yourself. But there's a limit to these things, you know, because otherwise, like, hey, that guy's making me sad. All right, go. I'm not going to answer your calls anymore, you know. So, yeah, it's a journey.
Yeah, but it's a journey, Miguel. You know, it's we learn. It's a journey.
And there's no ideal formula. You know, it's everybody's going through their own personal battle. You know, and it's tough. But think of it this way, Olga. You know, when you go to gym, and you go to, I sound like I'm always at gym, but I'm not. All right, I go to gym maybe twice a week, but I don't like people talking to me when I'm at the gym, because I want to be in my head and I want to like be focusing on my exercises. And some people like to talk when they work out. I don't, right? And I think that is kind of like life as well. You know, there's moments when you need to be in your own mind and your own spirit and your own meditation. And if you know, so I always say that saying no is a very powerful word. And you have to learn how to say no. You know, you can't.
How to say no, exactly. Yes, I actually, you know, and I will post it. I just written a caption, a post about ghosting. And that's exactly touch the thing that you just spoke about.
Just one last thing I'd like to add there. And we can stay a bit longer. One thing I'd like to just add there is,
perfect.
One thing I'd like to add there about that, it's don't speak to strangers. And I'd like to talk about this for any of our younger viewers or people that haven't figured this out, because it helped me and it helps a lot of people that I suggest this to. So social media gave people access to each other, right? And you can send a message, and that message, so there's somebody on their couch, like maybe right now, somebody's going, oh, I'm going to send Miguel, Dr. Stanley, a question about my teeth. So imagine, I don't know, but maybe when I hang up, there's going to be Dr. Stanley, oh, my mother here's some x-rays about my mother's teeth, and could you, and what is your opinion on? And let's say that it takes me 35 minutes to respond. I'm not going to do it. I don't know this. I don't know these people. It'd be the same as me. I'm privately having dinner with my wife, and somebody coming up and invading my private time, saying, Dr. Stanley, oh, there you are. Could you please look at this x-ray? It's like, do you understand? So there's also a time and place. So, you know, people have to have some empathy for the other person as well. And there's boundaries. And politeness,
and there are boundaries
people everywhere.
That we need to, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely, yes. And I teach and I learn myself and I talk about it, and this is the social skills that we all have to adhere to and appreciate and respect. Absolutely. Yes, and thank you for sharing it, and I 100% agree with you, and I know you well because you are my friend and you are exactly the way you're telling us about yourself. And this is your criteria, and I totally appreciate and relate to it as well. Thank you. Miguel, a few questions about the evolution of the dentistry. I'm going back into the field. And we spoke about it a little bit in the past, and your metaphor about the evolution on a TED Talk, I think, about the telephones and the evolution of the telephones is very relevant to dentistry, I think, as well, and you mentioned about it. What excites you about the future of dentistry, and how do you
I do say that the golden age of dentistry is yet to come.
Like?
And of course, for a person who's got great teeth, they're like, what are these people talking about? Why? Dentistry is boring. I mean, so if you've got great teeth, I understand that you probably don't understand why this is important. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who have bad teeth and have had bad experiences, and this is for them. So I think technology aided by artificial intelligence is really going to create an amazing, equitable, fair ecosystem where people will actually get what they pay for in an ethical, scientifically founded manner. So technologies in robotics and artificial intelligence are going to help patients really get a fair deal and also understanding better the implications of their dentistry. So I'm telling dentists around the world, it's a great time to start being ethical and focus on quality care, because an artificial intelligence very soon will be able to control the quality of your work, not just the volume of your sales. So a lot of clinicians and clinics around the world, well, how was your year? Oh, we made 3 million euros this year. I'm like, yeah, but how many people did you treat properly? Oh, yeah, because that's the job. So I think that that's going to be improved radically. And on another sense,
yes,
you know that in the supermarkets, in the last decade, we've seen everything becoming bio and organic and GMO, pesticide, pesticide-free, GMO, locally sourced, handmade, handcrafted. What would that look like in dentistry and in healthcare as a whole? And can doctors continue using products that aren't biological and truly biological and organic? And I think there's going to be a shift to a more responsible way of looking at what we're putting in the body. We saw this in plastic surgery many years ago, that the breasts that they were doing, they were kind of toxic, so women had to take them out because they were having health issues. We saw that in the hip replacement with chrome cobalt, where they realized that was causing problems. So medicine is always in evolution, and I think dentistry, one of the most interesting frontiers will be the biological dentistry, something I'm very passionate about.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And before we end, what is your relationship, I should say, with social media? What's your take on social media in general?
I know I love it and I hate it. And my daughter Luna would tell me, Papa, you said hate. So I'm not allowed to say the word hate. So, and I take it back. I love it and I disapprove of it at the same time. I love social media because it teaches me a lot of the goodness and the kindness, and that human beings are overwhelmingly positive. But the algorithm in it many times feeds you the catastrophe and the horrible stuff and all the bad stuff, because all it takes is that one day you see something bad and says, oh, this guy likes bad news. Let's pound him with the bad news. I think it's social media needs to be somehow, for children and for young teenagers, there needs to be a lot of improvement there. And I have to say that I'm very happy to see that there's some changes happening positively on that matter. And of course, the controllers need controlling. And I think that there needs to be regulation on big tech, specifically around children, around teenagers. And this actually happens in China. You'd be surprised, but the Chinese version of TikTok is a lot more safer for teenagers than the American version. And that's some food for thought right there. That's some food for thought right there. I mean, that's what I was told and what I read, so I might be wrong. But I think we need to protect our kids a lot more. I mean, adults can, they're grown-ups, they should figure that out. But I think children and teenagers, there should be a lot more regulation. And just to answer you, my dream is that I could have an avatar that I would build, and then I wouldn't have to control it. So I'd imagine everything that I believe in and my faith system and basically it would run itself, because I really want to go back to the 80s, Olga, where I had no technology. I was so much happier.
I so agree with you. I'm the same. I am actually, absolutely. I'm waiting for the time, and I don't really have to be on the social media in general.
I wouldn't be able to do this with you if we didn't have social media. So I'm grateful for the good things, and I'm wary of the bad things.
Absolutely. And this is, yes, and I'm not a technology person, so I think I'm like a monkey. I've been taught how to do this one thing, so I know how to do the IGTV. So I'm just happily doing it with very, very dear people to me and people whom I know so well,
And
for my
I'm
friends.
very,
And I'm
very
so
honored
grateful for you to be able to allocate
and
the
very
time to join us,
glad that we got
Miguel,
to do this. I'm a big
today.
fan of yours, and you're just such a kind, loving, caring person.
Thank
And
you.
I wish you all the best for you and your family. Happy
Thank you.
2023, full of health and happiness.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and I will just say a few words to all our listeners. And of course, thank you once again, Miguel, for everything and for sharing with us your journey. And it's so inspirational, and your passion and your ethics. It's really not only gravitates
Thank
to
you.
me personally, but it just incredibly admiring. So I'm thanking you for that. And everybody, thank you again for joining us. Conversations with Olga. This episode, like all the other episodes, are available on my Instagram on the events by Olga. It's also available on the YouTube under Conversations with Olga. And tonight's episode will be recorded and posted shortly. Please follow Dr. Miguel Stanley on his Instagram, because he as passionate as he been tonight with me, he's passionate about so many other things when he talks about it on all his initiatives. And thank you very, very much. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New
Thank you very
Year, and all the
much.
best,
Bye
my
bye,
dear
everybody. Thanks
Miguel.
so much.
Until I see
Bye
you
bye.
next year, hopefully very soon.